Another country rocked by migrant protests after plans for hometowns for Africans, and it is Japan. Now, when it comes to nationalists, not a lot of us can hold a candle to Japan because Japan doesn't have nationalists. Japan has what's called ultra nationalists. Right, over in England, you get guys that are like, England, yeah, I love the king, I love the royal family. That's all nice and everything, might throw half a pint down the road at some packet or something like, they might do that. The Japanese are willing to die for their emperor, and they don't mean that facetiously. Like, they will banzai a plane into a fucking carrier in the name of the emperor. They will do that. The Japanese nationalists are willing to die on the spot for their country. You don't understand how serious they are. Right, which is why this situation in Japan might get pretty hairy. They're serious. They're very serious. A lot of you don't know. Like, the Japanese weren't just committing all those horrific war crimes, just for the fun of it. They were doing it in the name of the emperor. They had the divine mandate at their backs. But anyway, anti-immigration protests have in Japan after an attempt to create hometowns for people from 4 African countries. The Japan International Cooperation Agency had designated 4 cities as Africa hometowns for the partner countries of Mozambique, Nigeria, Ghana, and Tanzania. Mbari, Kizarazu, Sanjo, and Nagai will foster ties with the countries through events and overseas volunteers. And I'd be interested to see the crime data that comes out of these places once this has been established. The program aims to revitalise communities in Japan that are facing economic and demographic issues, while also addressing challenges in the African countries, because as many people know, Japan has a drastically plummeting birth rate. A very badly plummeting birth rate where they're just not having babies because everybody's a salary man doing 60, 70-hour weeks, and then afterwards you mandatorily have to go to the pub, go home, get 4 hours sleep, and then go straight back to work the next day. Everybody's just living to work. Nobody even has time for relationships in Japan. Right, and it's at the point now where if a couple is seen in public with a baby, it's seen as oh my god, wow, a baby. It's like people will come up randomly to like talk to you and like see your baby. They want pictures of your baby because babies are just that rare. Babies are so rare in Japan that it's seen as like an amazing thing. Like, see over here when you hear such and such is pregnant and everyone's like, oh, that's amazing, that's well done. In Japan, it's a huge deal. Oh my god, they had a baby, their life's over. Yeah, they have a huge problem with their birth rate. Basically, Japan needs to revamp its working culture in a huge way. I mean, it did turn them into an economic powerhouse, grand, but, I mean, what's the point of building towards an economic future when there's no Japanese people around that can actually fucking enjoy it? But anyway, GICA said in a statement, the GICA Africa Hometown aims to further strengthen the relationship that each municipality has built with African countries. Why? Who wants to build a relationship with an African country? But anyway, contributing both to addressing challenges in Africa and revitalising local communities in Japan. I don't think they're going to be revitalised, but anyway, through support for collaborative events, for example, GICA will continue to facilitate and strengthen international exchanges for each city. The move sparked anti-immigration protests in Osaka and Tokyo, and the 4 cities received thousands of complaints from residents, because I think basically, call me old-fashioned, but I think people who are from a community should get to decide what happens in that community. And just that's it. The government can instead come in and go, yeah, see all this like property that we own here, like through thieving taxpayer money. We're just going to use that to house a bunch of migrants and completely alter where you grew up and just make it a thing of the past. Yeah, that lovely childhood and the people and the faces and all that, that's just a thing of the past now. That doesn't exist anymore. You now must live with these people and you don't get a say. I think that's disgraceful, it's disgusting, and it's culture erasure. That's what it is. It's the erasure of a culture and of a people. And you get the same thing, people that bitch about the, Israelis doing that to the Palestinians, but then they sleep when they hear about it happening here, and everything is a joke. Basically, basically the people that are in fucking Westminster and in government aren't from these places, and they don't give a shit. They don't give a fuck. They just don't care what happens to these places. They're just there to be used by them, because that's the way they see people. You're there to be used. You're a little tax slave. Now hurry up and go to work for fucking 70 hours a week and not breed, while we bring in foreign people who will enjoy all the social services that you pay your taxes for while they haven't contributed at all. However, I would love to watch a Nigerian trying to cope with being a salaryman. Because, Japan, if you think they're going to put in the same hours, you're, you're in for a rude awakening. But anyway, officials in Sanjo were hit with 350 phone calls and 3,500 emails in a 3-day period last week, while Imabari received 460 calls and 1,400 emails questioning whether there was a new immigration policy. In Tokyo, angry crowds gathered outside the GICA headquarters to protest what they thought was the weakening of immigration policies. People were seen holding placards saying "Protect the Japanese people" and heard calling for an end to mass migration. Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi spoke out against claims of special visas for migrants, confirming them as baseless. He clarified there are no plans to promote accepting migrants or issue special visas for residents of African countries, and the series of reports and announcements concerning such measures are not true. So apparently there's not going to be a bunch of migrants coming over, despite the fact that they've called these places migrant hometowns and are setting aside places for them to live. The governments all over the world like to piss on your leg and tell you it's raining all the time. Mr. Hayashi added that while people from Africa will be coming over as volunteers, they will return to their home countries after completing their training. Oh, like the ones that come over here for university, like those ones, yeah. Oh, yeah, they always go home. Yeah, they always go home as soon as it's over. GICA added, certain local newspapers and the African government have published reports that may give the false impression that, under the GICA Africa Hometown Programme, Nagai City in Yamagata Prefecture would become part of the country of Tanzania. Well, no, okay, that one is ridiculous. Or reports suggesting the promotion of immigration acceptance or the issuance of special visas for travel between Japan and the respective countries, which are all factually incorrect. And I hope they are. And that is the end of the article. Now, I don't know how many people from Japan watch me. I imagine it's very, very, very few. The one Japanese person that actually watches these videos. Yeah, they're very interested in Scottish politics and stuff like that. I'm sure it's all the rage over there and all the noodle bars. But basically, don't. Look at the West as an example. Look at Germany. Look at Sweden. Look at England. Like, just look at these places. It's a bad idea. It's become the new socialism. It has failed catastrophically everywhere it has been tried. Right? Mass immigration and diversity doesn't work. Doesn't work. Crime spikes, social services crumble, the police fucking ignore it because they don't want to look racist and they'll actually start arresting the natives for speaking out against it. Japan, don't. That's the best advice that I can give you in this situation. Don't.